Hello and welcome to the BA News Show, your weekly news show every week with your hosts. Me, I'm Rich, and my good friend and colleague on the channel, Mr. Taberner. Say hello, Tabs.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Rich.
A much more interesting week of news this week than it was last week. There's quite a lot going on, actually, and we've seen some very special things from PlayStation this week, which I was very excited about. Probably I was a little overexcited and just ruined that whole thing for Tabs, but we'll get into that shortly. Before that, Tabs, what have you been playing this week?
So, still smashing away at Hades, to be honest. Although, last night had a bit of a revelation. It appears, I won't go into too much detail because I know you're playing this and I want you to continue playing it, but it appears I've actually done the story in a sense.
Oh, okay.
Because I had a credit scene.
Nice.
Even though there still feels like there's loads to do and stuff to kind of, experience in it, if you like. But yeah, I suppose it's weird when you hit a credit screen because it kind of feels like, well, now I can put the game down.
Yes.
And maybe I should move on to something else because I've still got all the Mario games to go back to, 3D All-Stars. But yeah, Hades, fantastic game. 9 out of 10 for me, easy any day of the week. What about you, Rich? What have you been playing?
This week has been flitting between Hades and Monster Hunter. Hades a lot at the weekend, Monster Hunter mostly since the weekend. Trying to claw back some hours on Tabs' double my hours on it. Not happening as so far as we speak, so that's a shame. But yeah, enjoying Hades, enjoying the grind. Not progressing as fast as I'd like, but yeah, just perseverance. I think.
Mate, honestly, I think keep going because I reckon in the next 2 hours of gameplay, you're going to hit this point where I did, where you just take off and you start to feel like you're in the groove, you're powerful. Each time you're smashing through this, your attempts to escape the underworld, and it really gets good at that point. And also, though, mate, I would say just to all the BArcadians as well, you learn a bit about Greek mythology with that game.
Okay, so educational.
Yeah, lovely little educational byproduct, if you like. So,
slaying demons and being educated. What can be better?
Nice advert.
Right, let's get into the news. So the first bit of news this week, and I'm guessing it will become as no surprise for fans of the PlayStation out there, that this week we were treated to the teardown of the PlayStation. So that was a complete reveal. So Yasuhiro Utori, Tabs?
I would say that's spot on, Yasuhiro Utori.
Nailed it. The VP of Mechanical Design at Sony Entertainment, Hardware Design Division, discussed a dramatic improvement in both performance, quietness compared to the PlayStation 4. Fussy process to switch the vertical to the horizontal stand, but I'm guessing that's the sort of process that you're only going to ever really do once. You're either going to put it on vertically or put it on horizontally. The white panels are removable. We thought this might be the case, and it specifically said in this teardown that they were removable by the users themselves. Whether that... They
pretty much pop off, don't they, from what we saw?
Yeah, I think you lift a corner and they just sort of slide off, which is really interesting. And they did say that inside there's actually two little areas that you can use for like hoovering dust out of it, which I thought was very interesting. They're obviously expecting it to get dusty inside. And obviously, because of the fact that you can take them off at home, that does open up the possibility that we are going to see interchangeable covers. I'm very excited for some black ones. I know you are, Tabs. And
yeah, absolutely.
Moving on, there was a really cool detail with how they've used liquid metal as the thermal compound, connecting both the GPU and the CPU to the heatsink, which is very interesting and not used that broadly from what I've seen, because it can cause some issues with the copper and stuff reacting with the metal. So it's really interesting they've gone this way. They've obviously come up with a solution that works.
I think it's containing that liquid metal, isn't it? If it leaks out at all, I think your system can be knackered, essentially. So they've obviously figured out a way to mass produce this very advanced method, which is really interesting. We'll have to see. Hopefully there won't be a litany of quality assurance issues when it launches, Rich.
It's really interesting because some of the close-up shots of that, you could see almost like a drip tray-like thing on top of the processor, as if that was what was holding the liquid metal there. So that's interesting. Possibly that's the solution they've gone for. And then the PS5 heatsink itself was something like 40% of the total area of the console, which is colossal. But we are hearing reports from people who have seen the PS5, maybe had it hands-on. There's been a few people, I think in Japan this last week, who have had it hands-on, that it is whisper quiet. And I think this, along with the large fan we've seen on it, has probably contributed to the fact that actually it doesn't get that warm, which is good to know, because we all know that the PS4 sounds like a rocket ship taking off when you get into games. But enough of my ramblings, Tabs. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it looks great, doesn't it? It was nice to get the insight after not hearing too much about the actual hardware for so long. I mean, it's crucial to point out that this Yasuhiro chap, literally, it was the same size, if not bigger, than the man's torso.
Yeah, I think I actually messaged you and said that's either a very large console or a very small man.
Maybe there's something in between that, so maybe he's quite a small man, it's a large console, but he could have worn the thing like a blooming breastplate. And so it was quite it was interesting, but yeah, I think I'm happy with it. This cooling solution sounds really cool. I think the one thing I did see is it looks more difficult, doesn't it, to actually install storage space. It sounds like you have to, I think, pop these plates off, and kind of unscrew a catch and then actually install it that way. Whereas the Xbox Series X, it's literally like a memory card that you just slot in the back of it. And I would say that generally is the impression I get with this, that, the Xbox Series X design was so good. We knew that the cooling, it was on top of that. And we didn't know, but it turns out that it's whisper quiet as well. I think PS5, Sony realised they had to at least, be equal to that. So they've managed it, obviously, but I think the price for that it's bloody huge, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say, if reports coming from people, from what I've seen, people who have got the Xbox Series X, it's very warm. It does stay very warm, but it's like anything. The idea of it is that it's expelling the hot air that's inside it and keeping it cool. So that doesn't really surprise me. And I agree with you on that. Changing or adding additional storage is much akin to adding storage to your laptop, basically. Take a cover off, clip in a new thing, secure it with a screw, put a cover back on. So yeah, not as user-friendly, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, to be fair. I'm happy with that. But shall I move us on, Rich?
Absolutely, mate. Take us away.
So, Nintendo Treehouse. So, for those of us that don't know, there was a presentation. It was yesterday, wasn't it, Rich?
Indeed.
So that's Wednesday. We filmed this on a Thursday to be released on a Friday. So it was over 40 minutes long. I think it was over an hour long, actually. And it included basically a bit of a deep dive on Pikmin 3 Deluxe, as well as some extra gameplay footage of Age of Calamity: Hyrule Warriors. So what have we got? This came from NME, and they said that Nintendo showcase features such as the stories. I should say this is talking about Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Nintendo showcased features such as the stories co-op mode, new side missions, and the competitive mode Bingo Battle. The multiplayer mode is a one-on-one versus match where players have to fill up a bingo card by collecting various items in an area. That sounds fun. And Nintendo also announced that a demo for Pikmin 3 Deluxe will be available on the Nintendo eShop from today, October 7th.
That's out now, Tabs.
Yes, mate.
Oh, I think there's someone at the door, mate. I'm gonna have to come back later, mate.
So yeah, and you'll be even more pleased to hear, Rich, that you can complete the demo. You'll automatically unlock the ultra spicy difficulty mode when the full game launches on October 30th. And from what I have seen online, the save state is transferable as well.
Bang on.
So I think that's correct anyway. Nintendo also dropped a new gameplay demonstration for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. The gameplay also focused on 2 new playable characters, Urbosa and Zelda, whilst also sharing more footage of previously announced fighter Impa. Features that were revealed during the showcase include the game's weapon and armor system, plus previews, character abilities. Nintendo also announced that the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild map is being incorporated into the title. Good grief. Okay. It's news to me, and that's of course going to be released on November the 19th. So, yeah, that's very interesting, Rich. What are your thoughts on both those pieces?
So, So we'll start with Pikmin 3, I guess. Look, I really like the look of this. I thought that was going to be the case anyway, not greatly surprising. But there's some nice quality of life things that I didn't have on the previous Pikmins that I played, such as like the charge command and stuff that I think definitely wasn't on Pikmin 1, I don't think. I don't remember that being on Pikmin 1 anyway. And yeah, I actually think this looks quite good graphically. I think it looks pretty. And I certainly like the gameplay dynamic. It's right up my alley, so that was awesome. And to be fair, they've added some nice bits and bobs with the extra game modes and stuff, and the fact you can play co-op looks really cool. And the fact you can flick between the different characters, that's cool. I know that was on the original game anyway, but definitely looks really cool. And to be honest, I didn't get a chance to see a lot about the new Hyrule Warriors information. So a lot of that's news to me because I just haven't had time to watch the rest of that.
I'm in the same boat, mate. I've not even checked out the Age of Calamity gameplay yet. I just, did put the news together for us. But that's really interesting to hear that they're going to incorporate the map from Breath of the Wild, because that suggests, what is it going to be like for like?
Yeah.
Are we just going to explore areas of that map, or is it going to be somehow covering the same area? That's really interesting. I'm going to need to check it out after this. As for Pikmin 3, yeah, completely agree with you, mate. I love this co-op character swapping mechanic, because that gives a lot more room to the kind of the skill aspect of the game, because you can obviously like multitask between your two astronauts to be more efficient, which is what kind of, I suppose in a way it's like a dumbed down RTS game, isn't it? Real-time strategy. So and that's what makes RTS games really special, I think, when you become that efficient, that high level with them, you're doing all these different things at once.
I do like the fact that there's going to be an element of puzzle solving, because of the fact you can pick up the other character and throw them to a higher level, and then when they're up to a higher level, they can then obviously throw Pikmin. So I think there's going to be an element of puzzle solving that will need to be done as part of that, and I think that'll be really interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit Lost Vikings, a very old game where you could character swap for puzzle solving opportunities, just as you say there. I think the only thing we're disappointed with, the cooperative mode is only for local multiplayer, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like to play it
I mean, I think we've spoken before that we would love to be playing this together, like the whole game. Yeah, but unfortunately, that would only be possible if basically you moved in or I moved in with you, and it's not going to happen. So yeah, it's a little bit of a shame. I don't see why they couldn't have incorporated that. It doesn't seem like that would be too much of a stretch, but they've not managed to. So maybe that's something.
We saw something similar, didn't we, in that the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles port or remaster or whatever recently, and I think they took a similar tact on that. So whether there's just some hardware complications there behind the scenes that we don't know about, or they're just being a bit lazy. We know what Nintendo's track record is like with online functionality. It's very poor generally.
Yeah. So it might just be it wasn't on their list of priorities with the game. But maybe that means an update down the line may introduce that. Don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Shall I move us on, Tabs?
Yes, please.
So, Watchdog Legions has been hands-on by lots of people in the last few days. So let's hear about what they've been saying. So The Verge had this to say. Again, there's lots more Sorry, I'll start that again. Again, there's a lot more of Watchdog Legions than my initial demo got me to explore. But based on what I've seen so far, the innovative NPC system is more flash than substance, on top of what feels otherwise like a pretty standard sequel for an open world franchise. So they were left wanting more by the sounds of it. Especially given...
Yeah, I've not helped you there, Rich, by the way. It says in the article Watchdogs Legion, but then I put Watchdog Legions. I'm still not sure how it's actually pronounced, to be honest. Answers on a postcard, BArcadians, if you know.
And then
and I'll read us this second
bit,
go for it,
mate. Yeah. Since I made a right hash of the first one.
Oh, you did fine, buddy. So Ars Technica said, ultimately, we're looking at a current gen open world tech pipeline for Watchdog Legion, Watchdogs Legion, whatever. Not next gen, especially with so many of its buildings lacking doors. Meaning, you've mostly seen this kind of game before. NPC switching or not, and if swapping from one generic, vaguely revolutionary person to the next, while blazing through a rehash of older Watchdogs missions sounds good to you, Watchdog's Legion at least has the cars, gadgets, and handsome London playground for you to do it in. We'll learn whether all of that coalesces into something more meaningful when the game launches on October 29th.
So that has fell well and truly flat with them. I mean, it's one of those. I played the original Watch Dogs and I really enjoyed it, but I actually got bored of it. There was a point where I was like, I'm just doing very similar things, like hack this, to do this, to move on to this. And I just got to the point where I was like, and I didn't play any more of it. And I really enjoyed the game. And if it's going to be more of that with not great amount of additional dynamics going on, yeah, I sort of think this one's going to be a miss for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was always at that stop anyway, to be honest, mate. Reviews would have convinced me, but I mean, we have to say this isn't a comprehensive scoop. This is just two outlets that we've got their opinions from. I think I did see an IGN headline which sounded a bit more positive, but I also saw another headline which said something about loads of characters, but we don't care about any of them. So yeah, I feel like it is looking more like what we thought it would be. So loads of options, loads of variety. But in presenting all that and providing it all, it's got no real character to it because it's so generic.
So it's a game absolutely chock full of characters, but it's got no character.
Nice way of putting it, I like that. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, this is just a hands-on, and maybe the game suddenly blossoms into life after the first few hours, but why didn't they show them that if it was a hands-on? But anyway, yeah, let's not rule it out just yet, but yeah. Stick a pin in it for now, BArcadians. Let us know what you think.
So moving on to everything else, quite a bumper load of stuff to get through here. So we're going to start with Fall Guys Season 2 trailer has just dropped, literally like 2 hours ago as we're filming. And it showed off 4 new medieval levels, which look really cool, and some new game modes. And me and Tabs find this a real fun game to play, so we're excited about that.
Indeed, shout out to my nephew Joseph, who has beat us both, I think.
Absolutely. Trashed us.
Amazon. Well done, Joe. Amazon Prime Day on the 13th to the 14th of October. To the 13th to the 14th. Is that 2 days, is it then, Rich? Or
it's the 13th and the 14th, sorry.
Oh, excuse me. So get in there for some monster deals. I don't think we know what those deals are going to be yet, but there's a chance. And I would say there's going to be some tech in there, almost certain.
I would say anyone who's got any money left over from buying a PS5, which probably is literally nobody, given how expensive it was, and wants to get a companion next-gen TV to go with it that hasn't got it, look out for some good deals on TVs, because I think that's where you're going to need to hit it up, especially with Black Friday around the corner. So.
Yeah, this is it. I think TVs that you're going to be looking out for. Maybe a Switch, bundle deal or something. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, keep your eyes peeled.
Moving on, Cyberpunk are back next week with another Night City Wire episode, and next week's will be focused specifically around cars, which is very interesting.
Yeah, excited for that. Rambo is coming to Mortal Kombat 11, which I think was leaked a couple of weeks ago, but he's actually going to be voiced by Sly Stallone himself, which is really cool.
Awesome. That's cool. Bug Snacks, which I personally think looks pretty poor, is now confirmed as a launch title, and from everything we've been reading, it is very Pokemon-like.
Yeah, it looks like it's got loads of character, and they say it's hilariously written from the hands-on that I've seen. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It looks very strange.
Yeah, I don't know. Mate,
if they can emulate Pokemon, it could be amazing.
Yeah, by the way, that's not me saying I think Pokemon's rubbish. I do not think Pokemon's rubbish. I love Pokemon. I just think this game looks just weird. I don't know. I don't get it.
Let's hear from you in the comments, BArcadian Pokemon fans with your pitchforks, tearing Rich a new one. And then next up, we've got Xbox Game Studios games have been played for 1.66 billion hours so far in 2020. I think they should be pretty chuffed with that.
Absolutely, that's obviously some serious uptake on that. This year, that's incredible stuff. Final Fantasy 16 has apparently finished basic development, which is really interesting. This was sort of announced in the PlayStation thing back in September that it was going to be a game. So yeah, I still think we're a few years away from this, but it looks like they are pressing on with this quite well.
Yeah, basic development, is that just an outline? We're not sure, but it's good news, I suppose. Ghosts of Tsushima update has been detailed. So we've got a new game plus mode, a multiplayer mode that includes loadouts, underlined here. Seems that one of the most user-conscious updates ever. Sucker Punch is the best developer in the world, ? Rich is clearly chuffed about this because he wrote this section. Tell us a bit more about that, Rich.
I just think they're releasing this as a free update with lots of user-friendly stuff, like the fact that they're improving the loadouts, the fact that they're adding a new game mode with the Game Mode Plus, and a free online multiplayer for what is an incredible game that you can play with three of your friends. I just think it's like groundbreaking that they've like been so like consumer friendly. I just don't, I think it's amazing, and I really commend them for that. And I hope that other developers around the world can take what they've done, just make a brilliant game, and then tag stuff onto it. The game will sell itself.
This is it, and I just hope at this stage as well, we've seen these all come in as free updates for those who own the base game. I really hope there are some next-gen upgrades coming to, Ghost of Tsushima, the base game, as well as these additions, and I hope they're free as well for owners of the PS4 version. That would be a lovely way to cap it off and also keep the IP relevant on next gen, which I think it deserves to be because it's fantastic. We both love the game. So yeah, can't wait to get stuck back into that, although I'm going to need to learn all the controls again, Rich. I don't know about you.
Absolutely. Right, I think that is about it for the news this week. I hope you've enjoyed that, and there's lots going on, lots to look forward to in the coming weeks. So stay tuned to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, and also remember to bang that like button as much as you possibly can to help grow and support the channel. And I think that's all we've got time for this week. Another one for the archive.
Stamped and completed.